Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Brandon Bird. Just catch what you got about to, head out for for my little jog real quick. It's kind of like a two in the afternoon, so I'm gonna have to probably make this real quick. Then head back and try to take care of business. But definitely want to jump in here, man. I really want to talk about the free people of color. A lot of people talk about the biracial or multiracial and stuff like that. Now, as my family, we got a lot. Our ancestor, my great grandmother, she was she was mainly a European mixed person. Her mother was basically a free woman of color from the islands, from Caribbean. I think was somewhat was with my great grandfather, who was a white and a slave owner, a white man, but he was a slave owner in Virginia. Now at that time in the early 1800s and even precursor around 1800s and maybe around 19 or late 1700s, um, especially in the 1800s. I think it was right after the Haiti Revolution, and on 1804 or something like that. So, um, um, but it was like kind of like after the Haitian Revolution, whatever like that. You got a huge influx of people from Barbados and other French former colonies. Cause the French lost a lot of their former colonies and actually went into becoming um, British control or Spanish control. And um, there was a huge influx. Now, a lot of these Barbadian people was also slave owners. Now, they also had a class of what you call the free people of color. They were basically African and European descent, and it was solely designed for them. Now, you had other groups of mixed people, but a lot of them were mixed people of different types of ethnic or racial, so they had different classes for them. So a lot of different other mixed people was not involved in this free people of color. So when you think about people of color or shit like that, that's really it's not really designed for any other multiracial or biracial groups. Only specifically pertaining to African and European descent. That's pretty much what that notion even comes from. So you have to think about it in that sense. Um, Actually, a lot of mixed people, it goes both ways. But a lot of mixed people, I don't really think, or the free people of color, I don't think they really was tied into the body of enslavement or slavery at the time. A lot of them was overseers. A lot of them was actually slave owners themselves. My great grandfather, he was the overseer um, on the plantation. So I mean, this is some really deep, deep shit that I'm really saying. I exposing a little bit of my family history as well, and both of my great grandparents were basically, they're basically biracial or basically just in a way multiracial, but not even in a sense of multiracial. My great grandmother was basically a white mixed woman. You know what I'm saying? Her dad was white. Her mother being basically a biracial, by being basically biracial, coming out the colonies, the French colonies out the Caribbean. My dad biracial from his dad being a slave owner, his mom being a slave. So he was basically biracial. So it was basically was a very mixed family origin that I come from. So yeah, I'm definitely connected to in that in that lineage lineage of free people of color, but the free people of color had different notions and different European colonial terms. In English, they say free Negro. Now, free Negro cover all um, all blacks, all black people, but it did associate with people that was multiracial, something like that. When you had in Spanish, they did call people free color, free people of color, but it was more of different skin tones and different. If you, it depends on your skin tone, and it depends on um, your features, your African features. If you show more African features and you had a darker hue to your skin, you'd be classified in a whole new class, or you'd be cast to the slave caste. If you had enough to in a way pass, you might, and then they put you into that free black class. So it was different varieties of stages in Spanish, while French had the Gen de Couleur, and that's like in French term of free people of color. But that was basically solely for the Caribbeans and the Louisiana territory. So you look at Cajuns or I mean, at Creoles of Louisiana Creoles and stuff like that, and you got it's in some parts in some areas of in the Caribbean and stuff. Now I know a lot of people also deem Creole, the word Creole could go. I talked about it a long time ago. Creole was also used for white people that was born in the colonies. Of the 13 colonies were called Creole as well. So there's a lot of different stages to that name as it pertains. But free people of color was mainly a Caribbean or French term that was basically adopted, but the meaning and the definition is still the same. It never changed. So, and I was just thinking about Denmark Vesey of the Barbados population. The population that came from Barbados had a um, very separate microspace, but also um, they were I would say a cause, an effective cause of keeping slavery in place, as it benefit them as well. And it did, it benefit that class as well. A lot of them grew wealthy. A lot of them made money during that slave economy, to even acquiring slaves. So there was a lot of stakes to that. Even during the Denmark Vinci, he was trying to do a revolt out there in South Carolina, Charleston. Just the sabotage and the betrayal of the mulatto class took effect, and I was cursing myself. I don't think my family was really partaking in the abolishment of slavery, because even when my family talks about it, they're not really talking about it in a pro-black sense about what the ancestor did. So so I always have some type of um, a discretion to that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, when I found out, my aunt was like proud of that. I was not proud at all. To find out your biracial or or racial mixed ancestor an enabler of maintaining slavery in a sense. So definitely some big things you have to really look, and you have to kind of make the decision for yourself. Um, was it a good thing? Was it not a good thing? Now I know a lot of people that came from mixed race backgrounds that actually did some good, and they actually fought for their people, and they helped their people, and they identified with being Black American DOS. This is actually our history. This is our story. This is our lineage. For people to say, to come in and try to tell the story is not with no connections to it. It's not like you playing that part, and you playing that. You know what I'm saying? Because you're gonna have the more of a connection. You're gonna have a more of a deep um, spiritual connection of your ancestor at that time of the story being told, and how you portraying it. Just and always curious. How the my cause my family out on my mom's side, they kind of came out of they kind of came out of um, Virginia, and then, and I always was wondering like, why they left Virginia, you know what I'm saying? So, I did some more digging, and then I found out about the Fugitive Slave Act that they passed in 1850, but also they had these laws about interracial marriages too in Virginia. That was um, very hard line, almost similar to the race code in South Carolina that was in the books to the 1960s. So, um, definitely a lot of things that transpired. I think a lot of these laws also shipped the a lot of migrations and a lot of movement of blacks or black people that was former American slaves. But yeah, but I definitely want to drop my piece on that because I really don't think the free people of color, you're a free person of color, that was really technically a good thing. I think that was kind of like a precursor to somebody who was trying to escape blackness and escape the clinches and the curse or the thrive of what being black was really about, and to really be anchored in whiteness, because that's what, when you think of that mulatto class or whatever, they were anchored in whiteness. I mean, even my ancestors, they were anchored in whiteness. So, definitely wanted to partake in that and explain just a little bit, especially drop a little bit about my family history as well, but also want to explain a cause and effect of what took place or why the reason they left or why they settled into Texas, and and so forth and so forth. So, and why a lot of these attempt revolts and uprisings were so quickly defrauded too. So you had a lot of people that compromised their other black people being free, and that's just something that needs to be addressed. The coon spirit always been around. It's been around for hundreds of years, maybe even thousands of years. So that's one thing you have to understand. There's always going to be traitors in your midst. Like I said, sometimes an outside source can destroy an organism, but within the organism, undetected force can be the downfall of that particular being or whatever said or existence. So, just to really just want to put a little bit of clearance about free people of color and stuff and their role um, in the black, in the black movement or anti-slavery or abolition movement, something and so forth and so forth. But like I said, man, I'll catch you guys with another video. You guys stay up and Happy New Year, all right?